Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler. This time we're looking at something that's a bit of an oddball item. It is something that was entered into my Star Wars Home Video Library thanks to the generosity of Matt Fry when he donated a substantial portion, if not all of his collection, into mine a matter of years ago. We've pretty much covered the vast majority of stuff that came to me from him, with the exception of maybe a few of these little things that are still sitting over here, like an A&E biography episode and stuff like that. This one's been sitting there for a little while because I wanted to research it a little bit before actually diving into it to show you here on the channel, because it is kind of a weird little item. He apparently at one point reached out to Eric Walker. Now, if you're not familiar with Eric Walker, think Ewoks. Eric Walker is the one who played Mace Tawani, the older brother of the Tawani children, in Ewoks Caravan of Courage, also known as an Ewok Adventure, and Ewoks The Battle for Endor, at least before he got killed off unceremoniously pretty early in that one. Walker decided to put together, when he was very young actually, during the actual production of Caravan of Courage, essentially his own sort of reel of interviews and things like that while on set. And eventually, around 2014, that was compiled together into something that he released eventually through his YouTube channel, but also in physical form if you, I guess, reached out directly or maybe met him at a convention, called The Making of the Ewok Adventures, at least in terms of what it's labeled as. The name is a little bit different on the project itself, as we'll see here in just a second. So, among the stuff I got from Matt, there is this envelope. And inside the envelope was a signed picture, if that jogs your memory there, to Matt, of Eric Walker as Mace Tawani. But then also a couple of discs, one of which is a DVD of this project that he did back in the day. That is this. I will note, is produced presumably by Walker himself or a team there, such that it is a DVD-R. Says, Making of the Ewok Adventures, copyright Walker Media Group, all rights reserved. Along with it, a CD, Eric Walker's Ewok Adventures picture collection, saying copyright stuff down there at the bottom. This is basically 258, I believe it is, that I noted here, different pictures from like on set and during the production of the Ewok films. This all stuff kind of leans towards Caravan of Courage for the most part. But 258 pictures from that production process, which is pretty cool to be able to see those kind of shots here. But this is kind of an oddball thing. Again, basically Eric Walker and Warwick Davis together, during the production of Caravan of Courage, when they were both very young, decided to do some interviews and whatnot of their fellow crew members, cast members, and so on. And eventually compiled them into this short little, like, not even 12, like 9-minute type little video that they call, in its full title, The Making of Star Wars Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure, on the actual production. That name is certainly shortened there for the label itself. It is put out through W&W. It is put out through Walker Film Limited, Walker Media Group, according to the way that it is put there on the disc itself. Again, it's 17 minutes of content. It's basically like a 9 to 10 minute little documentary type thing where they sort of sit around talking to others. You see George Lucas briefly on the set, but he doesn't actually say anything. There is music by Dwight Bernard Mickelson. It includes, I'm looking at my notes here, interviews with Warwick Davis, who is hawking Welch's grape juice as a joke there, Thomas G. Smith, the producer, Kathleen Edwards, the costume designer, John Corti, the director. What's really kind of neat is that Edwards talks a bit about, not even costumes, but like making the glider. Like she's just sitting down talking to Walker or Davis, I think Walker, and basically just being like, we want to make this stuff look like it's stuff that Ewoks could actually have made. So here's why it's braided in this way to make these parts of the glider and so on. Kind of neat little brief, very brief insights. The director, I believe it is, talks about one point where they had somebody who was, afraid of heights, having to do stuff on a roof for something that he produced. There's a conversation in here about how this is basically like a movie of the week. As Walker puts it, a holiday movie, but that it's the type of thing, Caravan of Courage that is, that really kind of goes beyond what you would normally expect of movie of the week stuff on television, like on ABC where this aired, because it's not just a relationship movie, it's not a Christmas movie, it's not just normal people interacting out there. There's tons of costume work and whatnot that went into something like this to make it fit the Star Wars universe. After that wraps up, with, again, photography by Warwick Davis and Eric Walker. I'm kind of looking at my various notes here. After that wraps up, you actually get a series of television commercials for the airing of Caravan of Courage. And it's kind of an interesting thing because it's a bunch of different tones. Like there's ones like, they're on Endor, oh shit, type of trailer. But then there's also the lighthearted Ewoks are back type of thing. And of course, since this is something that's, airing to promote a night of TV on ABC, it's not all just Ewoks, watch it at this time. There's also like Ewoks, followed by Hardcastle and McCormick. Now there's a blast from the past, if anybody remembers the name Hardcastle and McCormick for a television series. It's just kind of an oddball thing, and then it wraps up, if you thought that was odd, a little sort of mini 9-minute documentary type thing with some interviews being done by two very young actors on the set of Caravan of Courage. And a bunch of television trailers put together, kind of captured from television, presumably for ABC from a local channel at the time. The last part is a 5-minute or so music video called Return to Endor. That's basically like some original music with some various landscape shots of just like, landscape that don't necessarily even feel like they fit Endor much of the time, and a brief message at the beginning of it from Walker himself. I captured that by taking a picture of it because I found it such an interesting comment to launch the music video. Again, the music video is called Return to Endor. It reads at the beginning on a little shot there. It says, 25 years ago, I traveled to the forest moon of Endor. I had many adventures, and this song was written in tribute to them and Mace Tawani, the character I played, who is and always will be Star Wars' first Mace. Eric Walker. Never mind there's some grammatical issues in what little is written there. But yeah, it's like I did this was fun, here's a tribute with music and visuals that just kind of evoke, I guess, the idea of nature, essentially. Kind of an interesting thing. If you want to see this, by the way, you don't have to find a copy of this. You can actually find both parts of this, the documentary type thing with the trailers together, and then the music video separately on Eric Walker's YouTube channel. You can just search for Return to Endor. You'll find it. That'll lead you to the channel. They are both on there as pieces of content, although the aspect ratio is a little bit screwy with the documentary thing there. Just kind of an interesting little thing to see that these young kids playing these roles, one of whom would go on to not really be a big part of Star Wars after that, one of whom would be a constant part of Star Wars, even hosting things at Celebration and whatnot, would together create kind of their own little glimpse into things. It reminds me of, Return of the Ewok, right? Except not, because this is for Caravan of Courage. Just an oddball little item here, kind of a fun thing to see if you're able to get your hands on it. But again, you can also watch it on YouTube. So, again, it is either Making of the Ewok Adventures, plural, or since it focuses on Caravan of Courage, more Making of Caravan of Courage, which is reflected in its initial title on the actual item itself, The Making of Star Wars, Caravan of Courage, and Ewok Adventure. Quite the mouthful. Straight, though, from Matt Fry to me, but from Eric Walker to Matt Fry back in the day here. Kind of a fun little item I wanted to show you here. Just wasn't quite sure, however, how else to contextualize this, so I really need to look into this a little bit more before ever sort of taking to the show to address these as one of those last things still here uncovered that came from Matt. So my thanks to Matt Fry for this, and show Eric Walker's YouTube channel some love over there. Check out those videos and see them. I do not know him. I have no affiliation with him or anything, but I just noticed that they're on there, and it's always cool to see someone who was related to Star Wars in the past doing something on their own to document their fun experiences in doing so. So with that, we will wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers and the Star Wars actors who take it upon themselves to document their experiences. They make for some pretty interesting watches in years to come.